Few people know that the first successful all-female rock band was Fanny. Although the road to success was not easy, it started in 1961 when sisters June and Jean Millington moved with their family from the Philippines to Sacramento, California. At first, living in the US was very difficult for the sisters, and they struggled to make friends. So, in order to get the attention of their peers, June and Jean decided to learn to play the ukulele. In the end, playing the ukulele not only helped them make friends, but also developed a strong love for music. Already in high school, the sisters formed an all-female band called Svelts, with June on guitar, Jean on bass, Addie Lee on guitar, and Bree Brandt on drums. The band played covers and their own compositions, performing in clubs and discos on the West Coast. However, they did not gain significant success or popularity. Soon, Bree Brandt left the band to get married. She was later replaced by Alice DeBeer. At one point, June Millington even left the band, as she decided to take an initial medical course. But in 1968, June returned, deciding to devote herself fully to music. After June's return, the band decided to change its name to Wild Honey and move to Los Angeles. The band members believed they had a better chance of success there. For a whole year, Wild Honey played folk and Motown hits at all available venues, but they failed to achieve success or even respect in the male rock scene. That all changed in 1969 when Wild Honey played an outdoor venue at Doug Weston's Troubadour Club in Hollywood. A secretary of the famed producer Richard Perry happened to be in the audience that evening, and he later convinced Perry that he should listen to this all-female band. Perry, then a big man at Warner Brothers Records, gave Wild Honey an audition, and was so impressed that he talked to Warner head Mo Austin himself, and convinced him to sign these women, bypassing the subsidiary labels. Warner Bros. Placed the band in a rented mansion on Marmont Lane near Sunset Boulevard, which had previously been owned by Hedy Lamarr. Prior to recording their first album, the band recruited keyboardist Nicky Barclay, while bringing in early Svelts member Bree Brandt. The initial lineup consisted of June on guitar, Jean on bass, DeBeer on drums, Barclay on keyboards, and Brandt on lead vocals and percussion. But then Richard Perry stepped in. He had a big responsibility on his shoulders. He couldn't screw up, having received such a credit from the head of Warner. The first thing Perry did was to fire Bree Brandt, who didn't last a month in the band. The producer believed that the band would be a success if its concept was similar to the Beatles. Perry also changed the band's name to Fanny, not with a sexual connotation, but to signify the female spirit. Fanny released their self-titled debut album in 1970. It combined hard rock, bluesy motifs, and complex vocal harmonies that set the band apart from other artists of the time. Commercial success was modest. Critics appreciated its freshness and power. But most importantly, from that point on, Fanny became the first female group to be given the opportunity to record an entire album for a major record company. They were still far from worldwide fame, but they understood the significance of this achievement in the music industry. The next album, Charity Ball, was released in 1971, and its title track reached number 40 on the Billboard Hot 100. Fanny also worked as session musicians and played on Barbra Streisand's 1971 album, Barbra Jones Streisand, because Streisand had wanted to record with a small band. The group continued to pick up well-known fans. David Bowie sent the group a letter admiring their work and invited the band to a post-show party where he showed them mime techniques. Fanny toured worldwide with young engineer Leslie Ann Jones as their road manager and live sound mixer, opening for Slade, Jethro Tull, and Humble Pie, gaining widespread popularity in the United Kingdom. The real success of the band was felt in 1972, when the album Fanny Hill was released, recorded at the legendary Abbey Road Studios in London. Working on this album allowed the band to work with famous British sound engineers and producers, as well as to feel the influence of classic rock. The album included a cover of Hey Bulldog by the Beatles, as well as original compositions that showcased the band's skill and energy. This release brought Fanny international recognition and allowed them to expand their fan base. With success came the first problems and disagreements within the band. It is worth noting that despite their talent and energy, Fanny faced industry bias. For example, the advertising department of Reprise Records focused on the anatomical aspect of the name Fanny, launching a nationwide advertising campaign that included photos and magazine ads featuring the band's backside. It also included stickers on cars and flyers, convincing people going to concerts and buying records to get behind Fanny. The record companies also tried to sexualize the image of the members and make them more attractive to mainstream audiences by shifting the focus from the music to their appearance. During the recording of the Fourth Mother's Pride album, which was released in 1973, June Millington could not tolerate such accents in her image. The record label wanted her to wear certain designer clothes and adopt a hard rock image, which she resisted. After the album's release, June left the band and moved to Woodstock, New York to study Buddhism, but insisted that the band continue without her. Such statements did not convince Nicky Barclay and DeBurr, who also left the band. Once again, Fanny was invited to take Bree Brandt's place on drums. Patti Quattro, sister of Suzi Quatro, replaced June on guitar. This lineup signed with Casablanca Records and released the final Fanny album, Rock and Roll Survivors, in 1974. The first single, I've Had It, reached number 79 on the Billboard Hot 100. Brandt left the band shortly after the album's completion when she married composer James Newton Howard and was briefly replaced by Cam Davis. Concurrently, the album's second single, Butter Boy, written by Gene about Bowie, became their biggest hit, reaching number 29 on the Billboard Hot 100 in April 1975. By the time that single was released, the group had split. After the breakup in 1975, the Millington sisters put together a new lineup of Fanny for a short tour, though no older Fanny material was played. This group ultimately morphed into a renamed all-women band called the LA All-Stars. Some interest was shown by record labels who stipulated that the band tour as Fanny and play only Fanny songs, which June opposed. This ended the chance of a Fanny reunion. June subsequently released 3 solo albums in the 1980s and has had a career as a producer for artists, including Holly Near, Chris Williamson, and Bitch and Animal. She operates the Institute for Musical Arts, a nonprofit organization supporting girls and women in music. Gene was married to Bowie's guitarist Earl Slick for a time and later became an herbalist. The Millingtons continued to record together after Fanny as well, most recently on the 2011 album Play Like a Girl on June's label Fabulous Records. Nicky Barclay released a solo album titled Diamond in a Junkyard in 1976, then withdrew from the music industry. DeBurr later worked in marketing for several major record labels and promoted the Go-Go's, who cited Fanny as an influence. She collaborated with Real Gone Music in a reissue program for the group's albums. Although the band's success can be called fleeting, it is worth emphasizing once again that Fanny pioneered female rock, inspiring artists such as The Runaways, The Bangles, and Joan Jett. They became a symbol of freedom and perseverance, proving that women can play rock just as well as men, and sometimes even better.